Bienvenidos, Ushamdid, and welcome Anne Arundel Community College learners from the Spring 2023 semester taking the CTS-233 Section 400 Network Programmability course. This is the Cisco Networking Academy's DEVASC 200-901 Certification Exam Preparation course, and our focus in this video is again on Lab 3.3.11, Software Version Control with Get. And this is part 3 of the lab. And in this video, you're going to learn how to create a file in what we would refer to as the Get working area. Then you're going to learn how to stage that file by adding it to the Get staging area, which is simply the Get add command. And then we're going to see how we can commit a file to the repo or the Git repository. So let's go right back to where we were in the DEVASC virtual machine, and here we are on the Linux CLI. Now, remember that we created this directory called Get Intro. And so if I was to cd into get-intro and then say ls-la, you can see that that is the Git repository. And again, as I commented in the previous video, you can have multiple Git repos on your system. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're in the Get Intro repository, or in the Get Intro working directory, and now we're just going to create a simple file. And they have us do something like this, where we echo out, I am on my way to passing the Cisco DEVASC, or they want all caps, DEVASC exam. And we're going to redirect that output into a file called devasc.txt. Now, this is a file that we're using here. It's just going to create this text file. Realistically, you would have a Python, maybe a Python script that we're working on, right? Where you're going to be making some changes and you want to track version control on that file so that maybe you could roll back to a previous version. All right, so we've created the devasc.txt file. Now, all we've done here is create that text file. If I cat out the contents of the file, it just simply says I'm on my way to passing the Cisco DEVASC exam. This is the Get working area here, right? This is not the staging area where this file is sitting, right? In order to be in the staging area, we would have to add that file to the Get staging area. So let's go ahead and say Get status now. Again, the Get status command is going to be your best friend as you work with Get. So theoretically, we've got a Python file here maybe that we're working on, and you can see that now it says we're on the primary branch. We haven't made any commits yet, but now take a look at this. Untracked files. Because it's possible that we have some files in this directory that we don't want to have under version control. Maybe you've got a file that you're keeping some notes in or something. But the devasc.txt file is one that we do want to keep under version control. And so Git tells me, hey, you've got this file here, but it's not being tracked, right? It's not in the staging area, and it hasn't been committed, right? Because we can see no commits yet. And if we want to add it, we would say Git add and then the name of the file. Now, one of the questions that learners ask right out of the gate is, well, what if I've got like 10 or 15 files? Do I have to sit there and say Git add file 1, Git add file 2, Git add file 3? No, you could say Git add dot. And that is going to add everything. Remember what that dot stands for, right? The current working directory. So I could say git add dot, and that adds everything. Or we could simply say git add devasc.txt. And so now we are adding this file to the staging area. And how do we see that? Let me say git status. And what about some of those other commands, right? So you can see here, there haven't been any commits yet, but instead of being read, the text being read up here saying, hey, if you do a commit, this is not going to be included, right? We're code red up here. Down here, take a look. Oh, hey, new file, right? So we've staged the file, and we know that it's staged because take a look. We can unstage this file. What if I say git rm -- cached devasc.txt. So I've now removed that from the staging area. So now it's back to being red, meaning code red. If I do a commit, nothing in that devasc.txt file is going to be committed, because what do we need to do? We need to dump it into the staging area, and then we do a get status, and here we are. We're back to green. So that's, again, I just wanted to show you that's how you could put a file into the staging area. Maybe you change your mind and you're like, yeah, you know what? I don't want to commit whatever I'm going to do to this file. Hey, let's do get remove -- cached in the name of the file to get it out of the staging area. Because if I was to type commit right now, right, the file would be added to my Git repo. Now, excuse me, what about some of those other commands? What about git log, right? You can see git log is going to be focused on commits. What about a git show, show branch, right? Git show branch, no revisions to be shown yet, right? Because I haven't changed anything. I haven't really committed anything yet, right? So let's go ahead and let's make that happen. So we're going to commit the file here, and the lab is going to instruct us to add in a comment, right? So in order to commit, I'm going to say git commit and -m, and what follows the -m is going to be the comment that goes along with it. Now, very important, don't just, type something like this in. Make sure that you put something meaningful in here, especially if you're working, and really even if you're not working in a multi-user environment, but especially if you're working in a multi-user environment, put something in here that is going to add some value to this commit statement, so that if somebody goes back and looks at the git log, they're going to be able to see the comment that you put in here. So let's go ahead and put in initial commit of devasc.txt file, for testing. Excuse me. And then we could even put, maybe we'd drop the date in here, 03/16/2023, right? And then we close our quotes out. So now we have committed a file. So if I say get status, right, you'll notice that the messaging's changed a little. It says we're on the primary branch here, right? Because we haven't branched anything out. That's going to be in our next video, where we're going to look at modifying the file and tracking changes by doing some branches. But it says nothing to commit, working tree clean, which is different than what we saw just up here, where it would say on the primary branch, no commits yet. So the no commits yet is gone, and then changes to be committed, it listed that devasc file that we had just added. So now it just says, hey, you are good to go. And this is what you're looking for. If your expectation is, hey, I made some changes, I committed those changes, what's my git status? This is a good status to have right here, because it shows that everything is good to go. So let's take a look at git log now, right? We've been running git log and we haven't seen much of anything, but now that we have a commit, the git log command is going to return the SHA-1 hash, right? And that's what you're seeing right here. And this is based on the contents that are inside that file. Take a look here. Author. Now, where do you think it got that information from? Remember, in the last video, we did the git config commands. That's my user.name and user.email, right? And then we've got the date. And so it attached the date here for us automatically. However, we went ahead and added it in here as well. And there is, and did okay, there we go. And there is our comment that we added in on the change. So if somebody were to take a look at the git log, they could say, oh, okay, well, it looks like Travis is beginning to work on the devasc text file like I asked him to, because we want to do some testing, right? Now, let's dig a little bit deeper here, right? Lab does not show me this. What if I was to say git commit? What happens if we copy and paste? Whoops, sorry, I wanted to copy. What if we do a git show, and I'm going to copy. Oh, because we're in Linux, it doesn't like that. I keep forgetting that. All right, so let's copy it and then let's paste it. And actually, let's do all the way back here to the beginning, because I need to put in git show. So if I say git show, right? And this is going to become important. You're actually going to start to see this in the next video, where we've got this diff, right? Like, what are the differences? So take a look at all the information we get here. So think of this as like the fingerprint for this commit, right? This is how this commit is going to be identified in the Git software version control system. And we get this diff down here. And so it's looking to see, are there any changes, right? You can see the new file, okay, some index, and there's nothing to report here, right? There are no changes, except for, right, this line that I added. I'm on my way to passing the Cisco DEVASC exam. And that's what that little plus sign in front of that line is representing, is we've got this new line in the file. Because this is considered, think of it as like your baseline here. This is my gold copy. And in the future, when I make copies to it, if we came back and ran the git show command, that we would see things like this. Now, another great git show command is git show branch, right? Now, it says initial commit of the DEVASC text file for testing, and there's that comment again, right? So it's showing me the commits that have been made on the primary branch here, right? And now we only see one, but if I start to make changes to the file, right, like we're going to do in the next video, those changes will start to get listed out here. So git log, git status, git show with the commit SHA-1 hash number, and git show branch are some really important commands. Now let's go a little bit deeper here. Now remember, I'm in the git intro directory. If I say find with a period, it's going to list out everything it can find in the current working directory, including subdirectories. So take a look at all the stuff that goes into the Git software version control directory here, right? There's all kinds of information here. Now, what I want you to pay special attention to, and I'm going to see if I can tee this up here, if we can get back far enough, maybe we can't. So let's go and remember this, right? We've got this commit number here, 23 EEC, right? Do you see anything here that might look a little bit familiar? And so you might be asking yourself, okay, well, how is it that Git, like where is it that Git is tracking all of this stuff? And so here is your answer. If you take a look, it's in the .git objects, right? So Git is tracking objects, which are these files that we're working on, the commits that we're making. And this is the directory in which you're going to see that. And so what if I was to say find .git objects, right? And again, this is going to list out everything in the objects directory, including any subdirectories that might be in here. But for right now, we're really focused on that SHA-1 hash right there. Excuse me. Really focused on that SHA-1 hash right there, because this is where Git is keeping track of those hashes. And this is where it's going to be keeping track of your commits, right? And if you ever were curious and wanted to come in here and look, that is what you would see. And so I wanted to close with that because that's a good segue, because now what we're going to be doing in the lab is we're going to be modifying this file, this devasc.txt, and we're going to verify that the changes are being made in the repo. All right. Well, hopefully you're enjoying Git, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper in the next video. Thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, I hope to see you in the next video.